So the Barry Way's been a bucket list item of mine that I've wanted to do ever since I got the GS, and now I finally got to do it. Hey everyone, welcome to Roads of Oz. My name is Matt. On this episode we're talking about my trip along the Barry Way. The Barry Way is an old unsealed road that you can pretty much take from Jindabyne and it'll take you all the way across the Victorian border. It's an unsealed road and it has some spectacular views along the way. To do a full loop from Jindabyne along the Barry Way, come back through Bombala and back to Jindabyne, it's a full day. I'd recommend starting at the Jindabyne end and working your way around. Now you really want to do the dirt section first because it is the most fatiguing, and even though it represents half the round trip, that's where you're going to spend about 80% of your time. So on this trip I had my iPhone die because the charging cable stopped working, so there's only one thing for it. Which, lucky for me, I still had my Sony ZV-1 and I've never really done a lot of photography work with it. This trip's given me a bit of motivation to learn more about photography and just how to get better at it. Now, there is no fuel stops, no shops, nothing along the Barry Way, so you're best off fueling up at Jindabyne, stocking up on things like water and also a bit of lunch to have while you're on the way. So your next fuel stop when you hit the Barry Way for us was Bombala, so plan your trip accordingly, make sure you have adequate fuel. The road itself is pretty good. Now it starts off a bit rutted at first and the GS almost met a wallaby within the first 5 minutes of being on the road. So the Barry Way is quite a spectacular run. It runs mostly parallel to the river and is just non-stop views. Although the road itself is unsealed, it's quite a pleasant run. The start of the Barry Way, you do notice it is quite rutted, and I don't know what it is with dirt roads, but the first few kilometres it feels the worst for me, and I don't know if that's because my body's just getting used to the ruts or I'm just picking up enough speed to negate them. Either way, yep, your first few Ks, you start to think, oh, I hope it is not this the whole way, and it isn't. It gets better the further you go. So the first stop is Wallace Craigie Lookout. It's definitely worth stopping there and having a look. The view down into the valley is spectacular. Now along the way there is heaps of campsites, so there's plenty of places to pull up. I pulled up a campsite called No Names and I was able to sneak the bike in for a nice photo shoot. Now a word of warning, don't go on the sand on the bike, otherwise this could happen. Right, so that's a no. Yes, quite embarrassing. Anyway, I got out and I powered along. Now, the more you go along, the more confident you become, and don't just make sure your ambition doesn't exceed your ability. I almost had a moment when I wasn't paying full attention and almost lost the front end of the bike. Now, the big stop for me is actually the school at Sugganbuggan. You see it on every Barry Way video, you'll see this, and it's definitely worth a stop. It's a good place to stop and have lunch and just have a bit of a break. And the school itself is worth having a look around. All right, so it wouldn't be a stop without stopping at the Sugganbuggan schoolhouse. Let's have a look at it, as probably 1,000 other YouTubers have done before. Anyway, there you go. Stop and pause on that. Walk around it first. Make sure there's no death noodles in the grass. Alright, so I gotta duck under. Check it out. Old fireplace. Anyway. Could you imagine today's little shits wanting to learn in this type of environment? Not bloody likely. So leaving Suggenbuggen, the next major stop for me was going to be McKillop's Bridge. Now this is an old timber bridge and it's just such an experience going across it. The view either side down into the river. And for me, it was just another bucket list ticked. I've seen so many people cross this bridge on videos and thought, geez, I'd love to do it one day. Well, that was the day. So I stopped there and I actually took myself down to a river and it was high 30s, so it was just nice to stick my feet in the water and just cool off a bit. As it was such a hot day, my feet and legs were dry after about 5 minutes back on the bike.
Heavenly. If I bought swimmers and a towel, I would have gone for a swim, but not today.
Now for me, after McKillop's Bridge, the fatigue started to set in. I started to have lapses in concentration, and this is where you need to be your most aware. Now unfortunately, a group ahead of us was involved in a nasty head-on collision between two motorcyclists. Realised how remote this place is, that they had to get the helicopter to fly in to chop lift the poor buggers out that had pretty much done some serious damage to themselves. Now, one of the other problems is, if you're following the sat-nav, you think you're coming into a town, and before you're onto fully sealed roads, like Bonang Road, there's a lot of sealed and unsealed sections, so you get your hopes up, next thing you're back on unsealed roads. This is where mistakes are made, so just take a lot of care along that section. And by the end of it, I ended up turning my cameras off and just putting them away because I didn't want to have an accident. Now, by the time I hit the Bonang Road, I'd had enough of dirt. I just wanted to get back on some sealed road. It didn't matter if it was straight, bendy or what. But lucky for us, the Bonang's a great road and with lots of twisties to really carve up. For us, we refueled at Bombala, then we headed back into Jindabyne because there's so many great restaurants where you can have a good feed, a drink, and for me, my favourite two accommodations, the ones I recommend, the Trotholgan Lodge, which I've done a review, which is just here, and also the Jindy Inn. That's where I prefer to stay. So if you're going to do Barry Way, make sure you leave a whole day, make sure you have enough fuel, enough water, and enough time to really take it all in, and more importantly, stop and take some photos and actually enjoy the environment you're in, not just ride it for the sake of riding it. Anyway, that's pretty much it for me. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and check out some other riding videos just here.